What is so important is that as you are navigating life, it's going to be scary. You're going to have to step outside of your comfort zone, and that is going to be a push and pull situation because your body wants you to stay stagnant, but your mind is ready for you to propel. That's why you have to do it scared. That's why even though you see things are moving and your instinct is telling you you need to push back and stop, you need to do it scared. You need to keep pushing forward. You need to keep working towards your goals and seeing that as these doors are opening up, that is a sign that you are moving exactly where you need to go. Hi there, welcome to my channel, Define Deshay. My name is Deshay and I am a mindset coach backed by faith. Now, if you've already been here for the journey, we are currently reading through The Artist's Way. We are on week 3. That's a big accomplishment right there. We are on week 3 and we are going to focus on recovering a sense of power. Now, if you have not tuned in to the other videos where we talked about recovering a sense of safety and recovering a sense of identity, I highly suggest you go back and watch those videos and then jump right back into this one. But I'm glad that you're here and we're going to go ahead and get into it. Now, if I can be completely honest with you, this has been a hard week for me. I feel like I was tested in so many different ways. And there were times where I truly wanted to give up. I was in a car accident last Friday. My body is tired, my mind is tired, and I just wanted to throw in the towel. But you like how I said almost. I'm still here. I'm still showing up for myself because I know that there is a blessing right around the corner. I'm going to do anything in my power to continue to work towards the person that I want to be. I'm more tired of staying in my current predicament than tired of what I'm experiencing right now. So we're going to keep moving forward, and that's why this week was so powerful. It was literally recovering a sense of power, and we are going to be talking about 6 different areas that were discussed. So let's get into it. So number 1 will be anger. Number 2, synchronicity. 3, shame. 4, dealing with criticism. Then 5, detective work and experience, and then lastly, growth. So those are the areas that we are going to kind of dissect today. Everything had me on my toes as usual. I am absolutely loving this read. Oh, actually it is detective work and exercise. I wrote it differently on my tablet, but detective work and exercise and growth. Those are the areas that we are going to be discussing, and let's go ahead and get into it. So first, anger. So the very first thing that I ended up highlighting in this section, it says, what we do with our anger is stuff it, deny it, bury it, block it, hide it, lie about it, medicate it, muffle it, ignore it. We do everything but listen to it. Anger is a powerful emotion. And when something gets you to the point of anger that you are truly frustrated about it, then you need to pay attention because that's a sign that you need to make a change in your life. If something makes you so upset that you hit anger, that's your compass. That's guiding you. Why is it making you so angry? Ask yourself that question. So it goes on and it says, anger is meant to be listened to. It lets us see where we've been and lets us know when we haven't liked it. It lets us know when we haven't liked it. So as you are experiencing life, as you are navigating and having new experiences, that anger pinpoints when you don't like something. When you don't like crazy people driving on the road. I'm sorry, I had to bring it up. When you don't like certain situations in your life where you're interacting with someone and they make you angry, then that's a sign maybe you shouldn't interact with that person anymore. You have to listen to those cues on when you have those triggers. And I ended up writing down, it's important to understand our emotions. Anger is a big one we push away. We have to ask questions and listen. Vocalize that you are upset and then pinpoint exactly why you are upset about that situation. So you have to be able to acknowledge within yourself, okay, right now I'm angry about this situation. And then ask yourself follow-up questions to pinpoint why this situation is a trigger, why it's getting you to that level. That's how you're able to use your anger to shape you. So the last thing I ended up highlighting within this section, it says, anger is not the action itself, it's the action's invitation. So when you're angry, you're not supposed to use that to retaliate or do anything crazy. Like, acknowledge that you're angry at it, but use it as an invitation to explore why. I think that's the big part, the why. Why are you angry? What changes do you need to make in your life so that you don't get angry like this anymore about a similar situation? So I ended up writing, what is your anger telling you to do? What do you need to point out? So use it as that compass to guide you in what situations you know for a fact that you don't need to put yourself in anymore for your growth, for your future, for your benefit. So anger gave me a lot of clarity because sometimes anger just comes out, but if you just let that anger build up, you just stuff it away. You let it build up and you stuff it away. You're not addressing the situation. You have to dissect what you're going through, why you're feeling this type of way, so that you are able to evolve. So that was the anger section. Now let's go to the next one. Synchronicity. So the very first thing that I ended up highlighting, it says, answered prayers are scary. And this got me. It got me. Only because we will sit down, we will pray, we will ask God to answer our prayers, and then when it happens, we're like, oh wait, I didn't know you were gonna do it right away. We start holding on. We start to backtrack a little bit because we're like, oh, I'm actually getting propelled towards the areas that I wanted to grow in. And it's becoming my reality. It's kind of shocking when things go the way that you hope them to go. Sometimes we would prefer for things not to work out so we can be like, oh, well, I tried. Instead of seeing that those prayers can be answered. It will work out for you. You have to open yourself up for that invitation and know that, yes, it's scary, but I'm going to do it anyway. So the next section I ended up highlighting says, anyone honest will tell you that possibility is far more frightening than impossibility. That freedom is far more terrifying than any prison. When you are left with open opportunities to where kind of the ball is in your court, you can make and move in any direction. You're not kind of forced in this box. You can get in your head a little bit, just a little bit, because you would rather stay in a room where the doors are shut and this is just the confines that you're in, rather than exploring and opening up the doors and seeing the abundant opportunities that are available for you. What is so important is that as you are navigating life, it's going to be scary. you're going to have to step outside of your comfort zone, and that is going to be a push and pull situation because your body wants you to stay stagnant, but your mind is ready for you to propel. That's why you have to do it scared. That's why even though you see things are moving and your instinct is telling you you need to push back and stop, you need to do it scared. You need to keep pushing forward. You need to keep working towards your goals and seeing that as these doors are opening up, that is a sign that you are moving exactly where you need to go. The enemy wants you to stop. The enemy wants you to push back. But you know for yourself and the promises that you've provided for your future self that you are going to keep going no matter what. That's what I loved about this section. So the next thing it ends up stating is that is it any wonder we discount answered prayers? We call it coincidence. We call it luck. We call it anything but what it is, the hand of God. Now, if you don't give God his glory, he is working and moving things in your life. Everything that happens to you is his will, is his guidance, is his support. And I think when things start happening in our lives, we start thanking the people who are providing those resources. But we have to understand that God is the source. He provided that to them to provide to us. He oversaw it all. So you have to give him his glory. You have to acknowledge that when your prayers start getting answered, that's him showing you that he can make things happen, that he is working things out for your life, and you have to have trust in him, in his abilities. And it kind of leads into the next section and I thought this was just beautiful. The possibility of an intelligent and responsive universe acting and reacting in our interests. Knowing that God is responding and acting and reacting to our needs and listening and providing us the steps that we need to take in order to fulfill his will for our life. He's in our corner. He's supporting us every way. We just have to have that faith and know that everything's going to be okay. He is protecting us. He's guiding us. He's loving us. He has an abundant supply of resources for us. We just have to be willing to accept it. And the next thing I ended up highlighting, it says, I've learned as a rule of thumb, never ask whether you can do something. Say instead that you are doing it. And what I ended up writing off in the margins, I said, asking causes a pause, but doing causes an action. When you start questioning which step you should take, you're just delaying the process. Once you get a hunch to do something, just go ahead and do it. It will save you a lot more time because you are able to start on the action, get results, pivot, change, and continue moving forward. But if you're waiting and asking questions, oh, should I do this? Should it work out this way? Should I plan out every single piece and situation that might happen? You're not giving yourself the experience to learn through the situation. So action means a lot more than talking. You got to do it. You got to work towards it. And then everything will fall into place. And this part right here, oh my gosh, I love it so much. It says, understand that the what must come before the how. First choose what you would do. The how usually falls into place of itself. So figure out what you want to do. If you want to make content, boom, you figured out the what. Then you just have to do it. And as you complete that action, the how will unfold. You gain more experience, you gain more knowledge, and it gets you to the place you want to go. If you want to write a book, boom, that's your what. Now you have to sit down and actually start writing. And then people will start coming into your lives, mentors, people who've written books before, to give you that guidance and support, because they are resources from God to help you hit the goal that you were trying to reach. So focus on that what. What do you want to do? What are you trying to achieve? What is that goal? And the how will unfold for itself. So we're still in the synchronicity section. And this section has a lot. I was highlighting so much because it's just so powerful how God's hand is in our lives and how everything is unfolding if you just pay attention, you listen, and you are there to accept the blessings that he has in store for you. So the next thing I ended up highlighting, it says, turn aside your dreams and it will come back to you again. So what I like about that section is that it shows that your purpose is tied to you no matter what. You might backtrack, you might fall away from it, but it is always connected to you because it's who you were meant to be. If you woke up this morning, that means that you still have a purpose here on this earth. There is still something that you're supposed to do, people you're supposed to impact, things that you are still supposed to figure out. So use that as a sign that you're supposed to keep working towards your goals. There's still something you need to do here and now. Now, I also really, really loved this. I just loved everything I was reading this week. So it says, the universe is prodigal in its support. We are miserably in what we accept. So basically what I got from that sentence is that God has abundance for us. Abundance. We can have the overflow to where he's providing so much, we're just pouring into the people around us at this point. But we're only accepting the scraps. We're only like, oh, give me the bare minimum. God has a 5-course meal prepared for you and you ready to eat McDonald's. Like, come on now. That doesn't even make sense. So why are you not ready to allow for him to provide for you? He has everything mapped out. And it starts with taking that leap. It says, leap and the net will appear. Do you have the faith that everything will work out when you take that leap of faith? When you take that jump into your goals, into your dreams, and knowing that you don't know exactly how this is all going to map out, how this is even going to work out, but you know what you want to do, are you going to take that leap of faith? It is said that you only need to have the faith of a mustard seed. Do you know how small a mustard seed is? It is tiny. And that's how much faith you have to have in God's will for your life to start receiving that abundance, that love, that all of that. God is ready to hand it to you. You just have to have faith in him. So the last thing I ended up highlighting in this section, it says, whatever you think you can do or believe you can do, begin it. Action has magic, grace, and power in it. So it all starts with action. You can't sit around, you can't wait, you can't procrastinate. You have to be actionable in what you are trying to achieve. Take that first step. Take that leap of faith, because that is what gets you to the next level. So that was the synchronicity section, and it just blew my mind. So we still got a few more sections to go into. So let's not delay. let's go ahead and talk about shame. Yeah, I said it, shame. So, the first thing that I ended up highlighting in this section, it says, shame is a controlling device. Shaming someone is an attempt to prevent the person from behaving in a way that embarrasses us. So when somebody shames you for what you're trying to achieve, how you're living your life, all of that, making you feel like you're acting different or anything, they're doing that because they're afraid how you are moving is going to affect them. 9 times out of 10, when anybody makes opinions, suggestions, other things, they're concerned about how you affect them. They're not necessarily worried about you, they're worried about their appearance, especially when it comes to friends, family, people close to you. They are worried about them and they're projecting their own fears and the shame that they've received from others onto you. And my biggest motto, especially as I've been walking through this journey, is let people think what they're going to think. Let people talk. They are going to say and think what they believe. And as long as you are covered and you know who you are and you know the God you serve, their opinions don't matter. How they feel about you, it does not matter at all. They can think what they want. They can continue having a relationship with you if they want, but you can't allow for their shame to fall upon on you because they don't want to feel embarrassed about a situation. No. I'm going to walk and be my authentic self no matter what, because that is what God's calling me to do. You have no control in that, and that's what it is. So the next thing that I ended up highlighting, it says, but before a wound can heal, it must be seen. Do you have things buried deep down inside that you have not let out to receive some air? What are you hiding? What are you bearing deep down about yourself that you are too ashamed to let the world see? For you to be an artist, to really embark on your creative journey, you need to understand the areas that you are concealing, the wounds that you have not healed properly, the things that you are afraid to let out into the world because people have shamed you before because of it, so you just naturally just keep it to yourself. You have to be your authentic self. You have to be open to being open about the experiences that you've had, how you've overcome them, because those testimonies allow for you to grow, allow for you to help others inspire change in their lives. And then the next thing I highlighted in this section talks about how when you receive shaming from others, how your natural instinct is to kind of put up a coping device. So the full sentence says, this surge of certain disinterest is a routine coping device employed to deny pain and ward off vulnerability. So basically, when you are working toward, let me give an example. You're working on a painting. You're really proud of it. You try to go and show somebody and they shame you about it. They're like, oh, why did you do this? Why is it looking like this? Making you feel bad for the art that you created. And then once you receive that feedback, you're like, well, I didn't want to do this anyways. What's the point? Let me just stop. What is the point for me to even keep moving forward? Yeah, you're right. I'm done. You're putting up this coping device to protect yourself, to prevent yourself from feeling pain or hurt or being vulnerable. But you have to be vulnerable. You have to give yourself that knowledge that you can create your own safe space and that You can receive feedback from people, but know what bits and pieces you're going to accept. And I'm not going to go too much into it because there is a section that I do want to highlight that is in the shame section. So let's go ahead and move on to that. So actually, let me just go ahead and read this big chunk of section that really, really hit home. So as artists, we can't control all the criticism we will receive. We cannot make our professional critics more healthy or more loving or more constructive than they are. But we can learn to comfort our artist child over unfair criticism. We can learn to find friends with whom we can safely vent our pain. We can learn not to deny and stuff our emotions when we have been artistically savage. So it's all about being there to support yourself, knowing what information you do want to accept from unfair criticism, and then also building your own community, having friends that you can lean on to get support and love and safety as you are working and walking through your journey. It says create our own safe environments. So that's one thing that's big to me. When I'm in my home, I need to have peace. I need to feel creative. I need to feel that I am protected and safe. And you need to make sure that you have an environment that provides you that safety and security. Because when you go out in the world, you can't really control that, but you can control your own environment. You can control how you interact with people and who you interact with. So making sure that you create your own safe environment. So when you experience situations where people give you critiques that are unfair, you can go back to your safe space and be with yourself and give yourself that comfort and reassurance that everything is going to be okay. And that's why I love this next sentence where it said, when she received criticism and she was down, she said, I did not tell myself it doesn't matter, but I did tell my artist self, you will heal. You will receive critiques. You will receive feedback that hurts. I remember when I first started making content and I was paranoid about receiving a bad comment on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok. Every time I would get a notification and it said somebody commented on something, I was like, oh no. Bracing myself because of that fear, that shame that somebody's going to say something and it's going to trigger something, then I'm going to have a downward spiral. But I had to learn that I'm doing what I need to do. I'm going to keep pushing forward. And if I receive a comment or a critique that hurts, I'm not going to push it aside. I'm not going to stop making videos or stop working towards my dreams. I'm going to sit down and heal because I need to understand why that comment got to me. Understand why these emotions are building up. It's all about looking within yourself and healing so that when you face similar situations, you know, oh, I already have the badge of courage for that situation. I know exactly how to handle it. Give yourself that grace. Don't sugarcoat something that hurt you. Feel it and heal from it. That's what you have to do. So that was all the shame section. And I love how it talks about when people shame you, the reasoning behind it, but then also how you have to protect yourself in a sense. You have to give yourself that support, that love, that care and grace, and knowing that I will heal from this. I'm not going to push it aside. I'm going to address why this hurt me and grow and heal from it. So now let's talk about dealing with criticism. because it's inevitable. You're going to experience criticism, especially being in a creative field, a creative industry. You're going to have to put yourself out there, and there's going to be times where you are receiving a lot of bliss and joy and love, and then there's going to be times where people just are saying nonsense. But you just got to figure out how to deal with it. You got to figure out how to heal from it as you experience those situations. So there is a list of 9 different things, but I'm just going to comment the 2 that really hit home for me. So it says, receive the criticism all the way through and get it over with. When we receive criticism and it starts hitting home and we're not necessarily liking what the person is saying, our first instinct usually is to defend ourselves. Oh no, I did it this way because I wanted this. Oh, I'm still, like, you're trying to justify the reasoning why you did it a certain way, but you don't need to do that. Receive the feedback, the criticism all the way through. Just sit there and listen. Bite your tongue if you got to. Just sit there and listen through. And you have to make notes of what information was truly valuable and what information, yeah, that's just that person. You gotta separate the two, because sometimes you'll receive criticism that actually can help you get to the next level. It's actually coming from a place of love and care and support. And sometimes people are just talking just to talk, and they're upset because they're not pursuing their dreams and goals, so they're trying to bring you down. You got to be able to distinguish the two. You got to be able to do that. And I know for me personally, it had gotten to the point where it was hard for me to receive criticism from anybody. I didn't want any family members following me on social media. I didn't want to hear anybody's thoughts. I just wanted to make what I was making and post a video. Make what I was making and post a video, because I was scared to receive that feedback. And those were things that I had to work on. And I remember receiving some feedback from my mom one time, and I was scared to receive the feedback. But when I actually sat there and listened to what she said, it actually helped my videos get a lot better. She was like, I would love to see you switch up your background a little bit. I would love to to see or ensure that your lighting is good. Giving me great advice that if I was tunnel vision and I was just thinking that she was just saying so, I wouldn't have took it and received it. So be open to receiving it and listening to it all the way through, because there could be some gems in there that can really help you propel as an artist. So the next thing I ended up highlighting in the dealing with criticism section, it says, remember that even if you have made a truly rotten piece of art, it may be a necessary stepping stone to your next work. Art matures and requires ugly duckling growth stages. So things aren't going to be beautiful at first. You have to experience, you have to take that action and be a beginner and progress and learn about the process. Your editing skills aren't going to be all that. Your video quality isn't going to be all that, especially if you're just drawing. I remember when I first picked up drawing after not drawing for so long, and I was trying to do actual portraits of people, and the eyes were wonky. There were moments where I was like, ooh, this is interesting. But I had to learn. I had to keep trying. I had to keep looking at different perspectives and gaining that knowledge to propel myself to be at the level I'm at now. So you have to give yourself the opportunity to have that ugly duckling stage, to not be good at it, but then you will eventually get good at it. It's all about the journey. It's all about the journey. So the next section is called detective work and exercise. So what I loved about this section is that it had me thinking back on my life as a child, and then how I see myself growing in my responses to the questions that they provided. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to list off a few of the questions that it asked me, and I think it will be very valuable if you take out the time today to just do the same thing. Answer these questions for yourself and see how it can help you grow. So the first one was, my favorite childhood toy was. And for me, oh my gosh, I used to love Dora the Explorer growing up, and I had a Boots toy. And with this toy, it had a little button. Oh my gosh, I don't even know where it is anymore. But it had a button that every time you pressed it, it would say, "Where are we going next?" And I used to press that button so many times. And I just love having conversations with my grandmother about it, because every time she would take me on little trips, I would press the button and I would get on her nerves with that Boots toy. But oh my gosh, that was my favorite childhood toy. And then my question for you would be, what was your favorite childhood game? So for me, my favorite childhood game was the Shrek game on, I think it was the original Xbox. Oh my gosh, me and my family used to get together and play that game. And I think the fun part about that game, I think it went from the very first Shrek from the beginning, when getting Fiona and all that, all the way up to like the kingdom scene with the big cookie. And oh my gosh, the big cookie, that was my favorite character. And it really upset me in the movie how he died, but they tried to make a little clip at the end where he was talking under the water. But I know very well that cookie did not survive. But I digress. I used to love playing that game with my family. We would all get on there, and it was funny because the way that game was set up, if you delayed, like if you were moving opposite from everybody else, it would prevent everybody from moving. So I would do that occasionally because I was little in my family. They were like, "Deshae, if you don't come on." But oh my gosh, that is probably one of my favorite childhood memories. I loved it so much. So I think it's valuable to really sit down and ask yourself questions about your childhood, reflecting on who you were, how you've grown, and cherishing those memories, because those glimpses show you kind of how you were in the midst of the purity, the mindset of you could do anything. You were just so innocent in being able to explore and be creative with no limitations from anybody else. So now we're at the final section, and it's the growth section. And the first sentence that I ended up highlighting, it says, growth is an erratic forward movement. 2 steps forward, 1 step back. So just how this week, how I was talking about how I wanted to give up, that this week was a push and pull situation. But with growth, you're going to have moments where you're 2 steps forward, where everything's smooth sailing, and then you're going to have a few setbacks. But knowing that you're still growing, knowing that you're still moving forward, that steadiness wins the race, that you're going to keep moving forward no matter what obstacles you might face. And the next thing that I ended up highlighting, it says, easy accomplishes it. And what I kind of pulled from that is the metaphor with the tortoise and the hare. You could try to speed through and get everything done, but you're going to face burnout, you're going to get tired, and you're going to end up quitting because you're not giving yourself the grace to enjoy the journey, enjoy the process, enjoy yourself elevating and evolving into who you're meant to be. So don't make things hard on yourself. Give yourself grace. Slow and steady wins the race. You're waiting for immediate responses, but things take time. You have to build up to where you're trying to go. But things will happen, but you have to be graceful and steady in your waiting. And the most important thing that I ended up highlighting about this week, and when I read it, I almost cried because this has really been a tough week. But it said, practice being kind to yourself in small, concrete ways. Even when the world feels like it's falling apart around you, where you feel like you just want to give up, to throw in the towel, be kind to yourself. Show yourself love. Check in with yourself. Ask yourself, am I okay? What can I do? Where can I just support you? If you need to just have a day of rest, give yourself that rest. If you need to just disconnect from social media and everybody around you, you can do that for yourself. You owe it to yourself. Have quality time. Have moments of solitude where you are just checking in on yourself and making sure that you're okay. And when things aren't going the way that you want them to go, don't be hard on yourself. Be kind. Your words have power, so only speak positivity into your life. Because we're not bullying ourselves over here. No, we are going to be kind. We're going to nurture ourselves because this is a tough journey. We are trying to find ourselves, rediscover who we are meant to be. So that's going to take a little bit of digging. There's going to be a lot of pain and old hurts that are going to reveal itself. But you have to give yourself a hand and support yourself through this healing. So that was week 3, recovering a sense of power. And I felt the power through this week because I was able to kind of get out of my own head and understand that this is the necessary steps that I have to take for my recovery, for me to reach the person that I am trying to be. So here is your action item for this week. I would like for you to comment down below one of your favorite childhood memories. I would love to hear it. I think it's a great opportunity to reflect on who you were when you were a little munchkin, when you were just enjoying life as it was. So comment down below one of your favorite childhood memories and see how that just lights you up. It allows you to see kind of, wow, that's who I was and who I'm working towards being again. So next week, we are going to be talking about recovering a sense of integrity. You don't want to miss that one. I'm gonna need you to go ahead and subscribe to this channel, put on your post notifications, and be in tune for when this next message hits YouTube. Thank you so much if you stayed to the end of this video. Y'all's love and support means so much to me as I am walking through this recovery process. The artist way, it's doing what it needs to do. And I'm loving it so much. And I'm so thankful that y'all are here with me along this journey. Y'all take care, and you got this.